You open a movie streaming app. 10 minutes of scrolling. 20. A kaleidoscope of hundreds of covers and thousands of titles flashes before your eyes, your thumb reflexively swiping them up. You're no longer looking for something to watch. You're just trying not to drown in this overwhelming stream of information. Sound familiar? Or how about this? A dating app. Face after face, swipe after swipe. It feels like the perfect partner is just a fingertip away. But with each new profile, it's not hope that grows, but a quiet, cold panic. Eventually, you snap your phone shut. The evening is ruined. No movie chosen, no date set. All that's left is emptiness and a sticky feeling of cognitive exhaustion. And herein lies the greatest psychological paradox of the 21st century. What should have been the pinnacle of personal freedom, limitless choice, has turned into a source of cognitive overload and existential anxiety. We've been told our whole lives that the more options, the better. Psychologist Barry Schwartz, in his book, The Paradox of Choice, called this the official dogma of the Western world. More genes, more partners, more paths to self-fulfillment. It should mean more happiness. But why, in practice, does it work precisely the opposite way? Why does abundance not liberate but trap us in a gilded cage? The answer lies deep within the architecture of our brains, in its ancient evolutionary settings. And we promise you that by the end of this story, you'll understand exactly how marketing, technology, and our own cognitive biases have created this perfect, barless prison. You'll see the invisible mechanisms, the loops of regret and analysis paralysis that make you doubt, hesitate, and feel unhappy. But more importantly, you'll learn about a strategy that can hack this system. The key to conscious choice that can restore not an illusion, but genuine, tangible freedom. Imagine a modern hypermarket. It's not just a store. It's a cathedral of consumption, bathed in cold, sterile light. Endless aisles stretching to the horizon. The hum of refrigeration units like a monotonous prayer. The squeak of your shopping cart wheels. The average supermarket in the U.S. offers its customers about 40,000 unique product items. 40,000. Think about it. In a single shopping trip, your prefrontal cortex, your internal processor, is forced to process more options and visual stimuli than your distant ancestor, the hunter-gatherer, saw in their entire lifetime. Their world was simple, edible or inedible, danger or safety. 2, maybe 3, key choices a day. Your brain tries to make thousands of micro decisions a minute, and it's literally smoking from overload. This is the illusion of freedom. The system is built on a simple yet devilishly ingenious idea. The very act of choosing should bring you a dopamine reward. Marketers understood this first. If you turn choice from a means into an end, you can sell anything. You're not just offered yogurt. No, you're offered the chance to express your unique individuality by choosing one of 50 types of yogurt. You're not buying food. You're building your personal brand. You become the kind of person who chooses Greek, with 0.1% fat and chia seeds. Freedom of choice has become synonymous with freedom itself. But this is just a facade, a screen. Behind it, lies a cold neuroeconomic calculation. Every extra option on the shelf is not about caring for you. It's a hook for your dopamine, a small injection of a feeling of control for which you pay with mental exhaustion. And here's the most alarming fact, confirmed by World Health Organization statistics. The level of depression and anxiety disorders is significantly higher in wealthy, developed countries, in the very countries where consumer choice is maximized. It would seem that it should be the opposite. But no, because when you have two options, and both are bad, you blame the system, the government, corporations, anyone. But when you have hundreds of options, and your choice didn't make you absolutely, unequivocally happy, you start blaming only yourself. You spent hours choosing sneakers, read 153 reviews, and they still rub. Whose fault is it? Only yours. Your inability to make the right choice. The burden of this responsibility for an imperfect outcome weighs heavily on your psyche. Abundance creates endless opportunities for regret. This so-called freedom is nothing more than a cleverly set cognitive trap. It's like a buffet a mile long. First, excitement. 5 minutes later, nausea. It promises euphoria, but delivers only stress and a corrosive sense of self-blame. So, what exactly breaks in our brain? What fuse blows when it encounters this dazzling abundance? The answer is in one word that perfectly describes a state of mental stupor, paralysis. To understand its mechanics, imagine a typical California supermarket, bathed in sunlight. Psychologists Sheena Iyengar and Mark Lepper set up a small tasting booth, a regular promotion. On the table, jars of jam. One day, they display a veritable kaleidoscope of 24 different kinds, exotic guava and kiwi flavors, passion fruit aromas, bright, screaming labels. Shoppers approach, curious, trying samples. A true celebration of choice. On another day, in the same spot, is a modest but clear table with only 6 types of jam. The most popular ones, strawberry, apricot. Nothing extra. The setting is the same. The people are the same. What changed? At that very moment, in the shopper's brain at the large table, a process that scientists call analysis paralysis is triggered. Your prefrontal cortex, your personal processor responsible for decision-making, literally overheats. It needs to compare all 24 jars across dozens of invisible criteria: taste, price, calories, ingredients, brand, childhood memories associated with cherry jam. This is a huge, resource-intensive computational task. And instead of spending precious energy on it, the brain does the most logical thing. It hits the emergency brake. It chooses the simplest and safest path, to do nothing, to leave. And here are the results of the experiment, published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. They are astounding. At the table, with 24 kinds of jam, of course, more people stopped. They were attracted by the variety. But only a shocking 3% of them bought jam. Just 3. And what about the modest table with only 6 jars? Almost 1 in 3 made a purchase. About 30%. 10 times more. Limited choice didn't deter. It freed the brain from cognitive torture It gave permission to act. This simple experiment mercilessly exposed the truth. Our brain is not evolutionarily adapted to the dazzling abundance we have created for ourselves. It falters in the face of it. It freezes. But suppose you broke through. You're one of those 3%. You managed to overcome the paralysis and still made your choice. Bought those jeans. Chose that jam. Do you think the game is over and you've won? No. That was just the first room in the labyrinth. A next, even more insidious enemy awaits you, the ghost of opportunity cost. Its name, regret. Open a dating app. Here it is, the modern marketplace of human relationships. An endless carousel of faces on a flickering screen. The mechanical movement of a thumb. Swipe left. No. Swipe right. Yes. The system creates the complete illusion that choice is limitless. That behind the next screen, someone even better awaits you. Choosing a partner transforms from a deeply personal act into utilitarian shopping, where people are products with a set of characteristics. This is where what economists call the tyranny of opportunity costs comes into play. Sounds complicated? It's simple. Every time you choose one thing, you simultaneously reject everything else. And the more of those other options there are, the heavier the mental burden of rejection. You agree to go on a date with one person, but your brain involuntarily creates a ghostly image of the ideal partner. It's assembled from the best qualities of all the hundreds you rejected. Every match you make is now accompanied by mental subtraction. That one had a better smile. That one had a more interesting job. That one had a perfect sense of humor. This is why the short dopamine surge from a long-awaited match is so quickly replaced by anxiety. Your real, living date now has to compete not with other people. No. They are competing with this invulnerable Frankenstein of missed opportunities that lives only in your head. Every minor character flaw, every awkward joke is perceived not as a given, but as proof of your mistake. This turns the joy of choice into a constant, gnawing feeling of missed opportunity. It devalues a potential partner even before the first meeting. The mere knowledge of other options poisons your satisfaction with what you already have. You're on a date, but your finger instinctively reaches for your phone under the table. What if someone even more perfect is waiting there, in the app? Choice devalues itself. But that's not all. This destructive psychological process not only poisons choices already made, it forces us to raise our expectations to completely unattainable, stratospheric heights. Remember buying jeans 20 years ago? You'd go to a store, and there were 3 or 4 styles. Straight, flared, maybe skinny. You'd try them on, pick the ones that fit best, and leave with a pleasant sense of completion. And now, you open a website, and hundreds of options flood your screen. Skinny, slim, straight, boyfriend, mom jeans, jeggings, high, mid, low rise, ripped, distressed, acid wash effect. The search becomes hours of analytical work with dozens of open tabs. This is called expectation escalation. The logic of our brain is simple and ruthless. If there are so many options, it reasons, then there must be one. perfect one. Not just good, not good enough, but ideal. The one that will hide all flaws, highlight all strengths, and be reasonably priced. The stakes are raised to the limit, and any compromise is now perceived not as a reasonable solution, but as a personal defeat. And here's the paradox. As a result, even an objectively very good choice brings you less joy than a merely normal choice with limited options. Why? Because you compare the jeans you bought not with the ones that were available, but with that platonic ideal your imagination conjured. Expectations, like acid, erode your satisfaction. The joy of purchase is replaced by the nagging thought, maybe I should have looked longer. The pursuit of the ideal in a world of excessive choice is a path to guaranteed disappointment. You are doomed to lose this race. And this race, this search strategy, has imperceptibly divided all of us into two completely different psychological types: maximizers and satisficers. Your happiness in the modern world directly depends on which type you belong to. Imagine two friends. Let's call them Max and Sam. They decide to have dinner. Max pulls out his phone, and the cold light of the screen illuminates his face. He opens 3 different review apps, diving into a kaleidoscope of user photos and conflicting opinions. He scrolls through dozens of restaurants, his brain feverishly processing data, menus, comments on service speed, interior shots. An hour passes. Max is still unsure. This restaurant is good, but what if another one around the corner is even better? Dinner transforms from an anticipated pleasure into an impossible optimization task. Sam, meanwhile, simply walks down the street. He sees a cozy place from which the smell of fresh bread wafts. He peeks through the window, hears laughter, sees smiling people, and decides, this is good. He goes in and enjoys his evening. They both had dinner. But for one, it was stress and cognitive torture. For the other, pure pleasure. This example reveals 2 fundamental strategies for survival in a world of abundance. Max is a classic maximizer. His goal, to find and choose the absolute best of all possible options, to extract the maximum. He expends colossal cognitive resources analyzing and searching for the ideal. Sam is a satisficer, a term coined by economist Herbert Simon back in 1956. His goal, to find not the best, but a good enough option. He has a threshold of acceptability in his mind: cozy, smells good, reasonable price. As soon as he finds an option that crosses this threshold, he stops searching. He doesn't torment himself with the thought that a better option might exist somewhere. And here lies the main, shocking conclusion of all studies. It would seem that a maximizer, having expended so much effort, should be happier. After all, objectively, he might find a restaurant with a 4.9 rating instead of 4.7. He might buy jeans with a 5% greater discount. But everything happens precisely the opposite way. Data collected based on the maximization scale shows that maximizers are systematically less satisfied with their choices. They suffer more from regret. They constantly compare their actual outcome with a hypothetical, unattainable ideal and feel like they've lost. Psychological tests irrefutably prove that the maximization strategy directly correlates with lower levels of happiness, optimism, and self-esteem, and most alarmingly, with a higher risk of clinical depression. So, the key to happiness lies not in the objective outcome, but in the subjective process of choice. The satisficer wins because their inner philosophy acts as a shield, protecting them from stress. But what happens when even the most thorough, most carefully considered choice of a maximizer turns out to be imperfect? What if, despite weeks of analysis, they still made a mistake? It is at this moment that the system delivers its final, most devastating blow. A blow not from outside, but from within, directly to their self-esteem. Imagine a person. They spent several weeks choosing a new laptop. They read hundreds of reviews, watched dozens of unboxing videos, compared all technical specifications in endless tables. Finally, they found it. The perfect balance of price and performance. They clicked the buy button with a resounding, triumphant mouse click. They won. They made the smartest choice possible. The laptop arrives. It smells of new plastic and ozone. It's beautiful. The person is happy. And a week later, a new model comes out. A little faster, a little thinner, and for the same price. And the feeling of triumph instantly evaporates, replaced by a cold bitterness in the stomach. They don't think, "What a shame." They think, "I'm an idiot. I made a mistake. All those 40 hours of analysis wasted. I lost. I just needed to wait another week." This is the last and most toxic mechanism of the paradox of choice, regret, and self-blame. Previously, in a world of limited options, if you bought something and then were dissatisfied with it, it was easy to blame. You could say, "Well, our store only had this option." Responsibility lay with the external world, with the system and its scarcity. This was an external locus of control. But today, everything is different. The system has given you absolute freedom. And that means the entire cognitive burden of responsibility for the outcome rests entirely on you. Any imperfect choice is not just an unfortunate accident. It's your personal defeat, your personal mistake, your failure. And this is not just an unpleasant feeling. It's a systemic epidemic. When millions of people make dozens of choices every day, from coffee to a life partner, and each time bear 100% responsibility for the outcome, it creates enormous psychological pressure. It's a constant low-frequency hum of doubt and self-criticism in the mind. It's no wonder that the World Health Organization reports a steady increase in anxiety disorders and depression precisely in the wealthiest countries. Studies confirm that residents of countries with vast consumer choice suffer from depression more often because the burden of responsibility for imperfect choices falls on the individual. We gained endless possibilities, but we paid for them with a constant, exhausting feeling of guilt for not being able to utilize them perfectly. So, let's look at the entire chain of this flawlessly designed cognitive prison. First, the illusion that freedom is limitless choice is instilled in our minds. Then, this choice causes a short circuit in our brain, paralyzing it. The fear of missing out on a better alternative like acid, poisons any choice made. Our expectations soar to the sky, guaranteeing a painful collision with reality. We turn into maximizers, doomed to an eternal search. And in the end, when the outcome is imperfect, the system's final poison, self-blame, strikes us from within. We have dissected all parts of this perfect psychological trap, but the main question remains: how do we escape it? Let's reassemble this mechanism step by step. It all begins with the illusion of freedom, the central operating system of our society, which whispers, more is better. This dogma leads us to hypermarkets, both real and digital, where our ancient brain processor encounters cognitive overload and falls into analysis paralysis. It simply refuses to work. Even if we break through and make a choice, it is immediately poisoned by the tyranny of alternatives. A ghostly chorus of hundreds of missed options that seem better simply because we didn't choose them. The sheer number of options leads to an escalation of expectations. We begin to seek not just good, but an impeccable, platonic ideal. This turns us into maximizers, eternal, anxious seekers who can never be truly satisfied. And the final, most devastating blow is dealt by the mechanism of self-blame. When the ideal cannot be achieved, the full weight of guilt for the wrong choice falls upon us. It's a flawlessly designed, closed loop, a neural loop leading directly to stress and unhappiness. Now, let's return to our hero, Sam, to the satisficer, to the person who chose a restaurant simply because he liked the smell coming from it. He doesn't look like someone who gave up or compromised. On the contrary, he looks like a conscious rebel, like someone who has found true, genuine freedom. He understood that the game he was forced to play was rigged. Its rules were written so that he would always lose, and he decided to opt out. By consciously limiting his choices, he regains control. He takes power away from algorithms and marketers and returns it to himself. By making good enough decisions, he frees himself from paralysis, regret, and corrosive self-blame. His happiness depends not on the cold light of a screen with its endless storefronts, but on his own reasonable criteria and warm, real sensations. He is happy not because he found the best, but because he himself decided what was good enough for him. He hacked the system, and perhaps this is the main secret, a powerful paradigm shift that turns everything upside down. For decades, we've been taught that freedom is the ability to choose from a million options. But what if it's the other way around? What if true freedom is not the freedom to choose, but the freedom from choice? This is not passivity. No, it's an active, conscious power. The freedom to say, enough. The freedom not to open the 20th tab with reviews, feeling your pulse quicken and your stomach clench. The freedom not to swipe endlessly in search of the perfect partner, devaluing every living person. The freedom to set your own boundaries and limits in a world that tries to destroy them. This is not a limitation. It's your personal, conscious filter. It's a mental firewall against informational chaos, a shield that allows you to regain the priceless, almost forgotten joy of decisions made. The paradox of choice is not just a theory. It's something each of us faces every day. So, when you finish listening to this, Ask yourself one question. Recall your last significant choice. Buying a phone, choosing a hotel, maybe even responding to a job offer. How did you feel during the process? The cold, gnawing anxiety of endlessly comparing options, or the warm, calm satisfaction of a decision made? That feeling is your answer. Who are you in this story? A maximizer, still in the exhausting pursuit of the ideal? Or a satisficer who has found their own quiet path to happiness? Write your answer in the comments. We are very curious to see who there are more of among us.